Hey, everybody, welcome back to Church Public. Today on Current Events from a Christian Perspective, a gay woman pretends to be Jesus Christ. Yes, you heard that right. The star of Wicked, who played the witch, is again participating in what appears to be demonic cult retelling of the story of Jesus. We'll look at this and much more today. I'm Matt Odegaard, and this is Church Public. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Church Public. Really appreciate you stopping by. We look at current events from a Christian perspective so that you can live out your faith. That's really my main goal for you. I know we look at some weird things and you're like, what does this have to do with anything? And the path that I have chosen here is to show current events and then look at theological perspectives and how it lives out in a Christian worldview and how you can walk out your front door and know, hey, I am living like a Christian, not being something else. So if this is helpful, like, share, subscribe, do all the things, send it to a friend. If you would like, you can go to the new Substack, Church. It's substack.com/@churchpublic, and you can support there. You can subscribe there. You can sign up for the emails so you never miss an episode. You can do all of those good things. And ultimately, hopefully this is helpful to you. If it is, leave a comment. If it isn't, I guess leave a comment too. I don't know. Do all those things at this point. All right, so we're going to look at some news and some updates. And actually, this first one, I usually save something good for the end, but I'm going to start with that. This is Romans 8:28. We know all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purposes. And ultimately, what I want to share today is that with the new government administration and many of the budget cuts through DOGE, etc., Planned Parenthood has been defunded from the federal government perspective. What that means, again, is that even though many people said, oh no, they're not getting any federal government funds, they obviously were. So there is a tracker at sbaprolife.org, and it is around $1 billion, that's billion with a B like boy, dollars has been defunded through government cuts to Planned Parenthood. That's fantastic news in and of itself, but even the bigger news, which I think is exciting for those that really just want to save babies and not let them be uselessly murdered, which is a terrible tragedy and should be stopped in all instances. As of this recording, 41 locations across America have closed since this defunding, including 2 in Texas, the mega location that was one of the biggest, maybe even the biggest in America, which is just fantastic news. You can see the full list at sbaprolife.org. I love this, and I want to see more of this. I want to see more lives saved. This is something we can do, is speak up for those that do not have a voice. And these poor little babies who are unique and, as God would say, wonderfully made humans, do need us to speak up for them. And this is one way that we can do that. Okay, let's move on to another. Gosh, sometimes I put these clips aside and go, what in the world are we doing? Okay, so in this clip, many of you have heard land acknowledgments, and they get just really weird, and it's something to the effect of, I'm sorry that I live on someone else's land. Of course, these land acknowledgments never go to the point of, I'm sorry I live on this land, and you can take your land back. They never go that far, of course. But these land acknowledgments, they just get to this point where they're just silliness. They're just silliness, and they're at the point where people just say things to placate the left, ultimately, and to virtue signal and do all these things. So. I saw this clip go around, and this one was specifically interesting for us as Christians from a Christian worldview because I think it's fantastic and also ridiculous. So we're at a school board. The school board president would not allow a guy named Jeremiah Coda, I believe is his name, to read the land acknowledgement as he wanted to read it. This was a land acknowledgement in Arizona. So I'm just going to play this, and then we'll talk about it. So again, there's your context. This is a land acknowledgement. But this particular person read it in a different way than I think the leader of this school board meeting intended. Let's take a listen.
Next item on the agenda is 1D Land Acknowledgement Statement. Please remain seated as Board Member Kota reads the PXU Land Acknowledgement Statement.
As a member of the St. Carlos Apache tribe, it's my honor to lead today's acknowledgement. If you know it, join me in acknowledging the Creator, Begawik Dan Shita. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven.
I'm so sorry
Give
to
us-
interrupt you, board member. We can't have a religious prayer before you start to read the land acknowledgement.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as
Out
we
of order.
forgive our
Out of
debtors.
order. I will read the land acknowledgement.
This man, I love the internet sometimes. Okay, so let's just take in all that's happened. So first of all, we already talked about what a land acknowledgement is, which is it's just silly virtue signaling and it doesn't mean anything because if it really meant something, listen, if you want to do this and you own the land and you want to say, I'm so sorry that we stole this land, give the land back. And if you don't get the land back, I don't care what you have to say. Your words mean nothing. And beyond that, let's just go even farther. Oh gosh, I'm just going to get canceled completely for this. This land that we're currently on, that most of the Western world is on, was conquered from other savage conquerors who, in many instances, brutally murdered their enemies. And I mean brutally. If you want to go and look up the history on this, please do. Please check my work. See the ways that these warring tribes murdered each other, sometimes even doing human sacrifices to bring on more harvest or rain or whatever. This is all well documented and true. So you can say that you need to give the land back to someone, but who's that going to be? And how long does that have to be? Americans have now been here for more than 200 years, 250 years. Is that enough time? Is 250 years enough time to be on the land, to now be the people on the land? Or is it not? Many of these warring tribes were only on the land for days, months, maybe years at best. That's it. But apparently they deserve the land more than we do who have been here for 200 years, 250 years. Now, let's be even more specific, and man, people are going to hate this one. Although humans always do broken things, this is just the reality of human nature. Read about it again in the Bible. Start at Genesis. Read about the brokenness of human nature, beginning about chapter 3 of Genesis and 4, etc. It's really bad. We do really bad, terrible things. However, the majority of Western lands were civilized by Christian Protestant people. I'm going to say that again. Christian Protestant people, bringing Jesus to a godless pagan people who, again, worshipped fake gods, fake idols, and practiced human sacrifice and baby sacrifice and all this other stuff, which is horribly barbaric and terrible. And the fact that they were civilized by Christian Protestant people is a civilizational good. And you cannot argue otherwise. You cannot say we would all be better off if we went outside and viciously murdered one another and sacrificed our babies to gods, even though, as I just mentioned in the Planned Parenthood segment, many people still do that. This is a civilizational good, and you can argue as much as you want until you're blue in the face, but you're just wrong objectively. And of course, we can say there are cases where the individuals moving this forward did bad things. That's absolutely true. I can acknowledge that. That's very true. But by and large, the spread of the gospel is a good thing. And you can't objectively say, even like famous atheists, we read about one, Dawkins, a few months ago. He's like, I really want the Christian culture, but I don't want the Christianity. No, you cannot have that. That's the one thing you cannot have. You can either be a Christian and have a Christian culture, or not be a Christian and have a pagan, godless, warring, bloody, murderous culture. There is no middle. Christ or chaos. I say it a lot, but this is just true historically. Don't even listen to me. Go and read as much history as you want. Spend the rest of your life reading history and see which cultures were more warring and godless and murderous, and which cultures were less. And spoiler alert, the Christian cultures, though they did bad things, sometimes individually, were much less warring, murderous, and pagan. It's not even close. There's just no argument there, historically speaking. Okay, secondly, the other thing that I love about this clip is, second of all, I don't know what point am I now. It is very dense that this board will not allow a benediction to the creator of the land before a so-called land acknowledgement. It's really funny that the lady is like, I'm sorry, you can't pray before a land acknowledgement. Well, what is a land acknowledgement then? that is a prayer. That's a benediction. The thing this guy says is the Lord's Prayer, which is a benediction. So you can't say we'll allow the one, but you absolutely can't allow the other because they're the same thing. And really, we know the reason you can't say the prayer is because you can't say the real God is the real God. We have to pray to our fake pretend gods and hope that they bless the land, which of course they won't because they're not real. If you want a really good story about that, by the way, read the story of Elijah, where he faces off against some fake gods with the real God. Great story. You can check that out as you have time. So the other thing that I want to point out in this, and actually I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna play it again. And I'll pause it probably partway through. But this is important. What this guy does is really good in how he responds to the first time he gets interrupted. So I'm going to play it again. Listen to how he responds.
Next item on the agenda is 1D Land Acknowledgement Statement. Please remain seated as Board Member Kota reads the PXU Land Acknowledgement Statement.
So he starts with the Lord's Prayer right here.
As a member of the St. Carlos Apache tribe, it's my honor to lead today's acknowledgement. If you know it, join me acknowledging the Creator, Begewik Dan Shita, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Board Member. We can't have a religious prayer before you start to read the land acknowledgement.
So what does he do? Right here.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts. As
Out of order.
So I'll just pause it there, and here's what I want you to take away. He's told, no, you cannot pray to the actual creator of the universe who actually created all of the land. You have to pray to some fake god or do some fake land acknowledgement or whatever. So what does he do? He just continues his prayer. And I think we can all learn something from that when faced by ridiculous and silliness from the culture, the secular, pagan, godless culture that says, no, you must do things our way, you can say, no, I'm going to keep praying to my God. You do whatever you want. You bow down to whatever idol you want to bow down to. But no, I'm going to stand up for the one true living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Mary, and the God who is Jesus Christ our Lord. And you can go pound sand. All right, let's keep going on to some other ridiculous things. Oh gosh, okay, this one is wacky. I think I have just a, let's see, what do I have here? I have just a quick, I think I have just a picture of this. I don't think I have the video because I didn't want to put the video up. Let me see. Yeah, so I didn't want to play the video for you because it's just ridiculous. So this is quote unquote journalist Jim Acosta, who interviews AI version of a teenager killed in the Parkland, Colorado shooting. So let me again describe what's happening here. So Jim Acosta used to be on CNN, and he has some other show now. It doesn't really matter, but he did a video interview with a teenager, only the teenager was not real. The teenager was an AI-generated image of a person, I'm not even going to read their name, doesn't matter, who died in the Parkland school shooting. Now, that's tragic that this person died. The AI version of this student is not real. And as tragic as this shooting may have been, interviewing an AI bot of this student is not real, it's not productive, and in fact, I would say it's actually bad form. Acosta has been an independent journalist since leaving CNN, and he interviewed this likeness of this man's son. The likeness was created by gun control group Change in the Ref, and this group was founded by the son's parents. So let's think about this for a minute. A gun control group creates an AI bot. The son's father, terribly tragic that this son was killed, and his father has to deal with that. It's terrible. But creating a fake likeness of your son, I would say, spiritually, emotionally, that's even worse. Pretending to talk to a person that is not real, like That's not, we're going to go back to the Bible. When you look at like Philippians 4, finding peace, like in other places where Jesus talks about being the Prince of Peace, that is not finding peace. That is digging up old wounds and pretending that something is real when it's not. This is not good for you emotionally, spiritually, relationally. It's not good. Now, to the thing at hand, Acosta asked this AI son about a solution for gun response, and the AI son said, quote, "I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations, connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding," end quote. And Jim said, that sounds like a good idea or something. Again, I'm just going to say out loud, the problem here is from a moral frame, from a spiritual frame, from an ethical frame, none of this is real. Hopefully you all know this. I think you do. I think the people who are listening here have a high intelligence. Otherwise, you would throw me out the window. Maybe you want to anyway. That's fine. Hopefully you already know that the news is very deceitful and they're just going to tell you whatever they want you to hear. But this is all just made up. I don't think the father should even have this. I already talked about that. But the reality of this is just a program response. If you don't know this, I mean, hopefully this is good for you to know. Someone wanted this fake person to say something, so they programmed this fake person to say something. As good as AI seems, it is only responding to what is programmed to do. That's all it can do, because that's all the technology will do. I think we all know this. I hope we all know this. You may want to find comfort in some imaginary thing that like AI is real, but I'm sorry to say that it is not. It is not real. As real as it even begins to become, it's never going to be real, because artificial intelligence has that word in the front of it, artificial, because it's not real. So, as a journalist, why they would stoop to this level of pretending, on the one hand, is hard to believe. But on the other hand, if you're more cynical, maybe like me, this completely makes sense. This journalist had a viewpoint to give, and he found a way to do it. And he says, you need to have less guns, because if you did, this poor kid would still be alive. But of course, that's a completely different argument that we can have, but just pretending that an AI person is real is both not good and spiritually, it's lying, it's cheating, it's pretending something's real. It's like when you hear from your dead relatives from the other side by going to a psychic, like that's really bad. Why is that bad? Because God has not given us the ability to do that. Read your Bible, read your scriptures. That is not in here anywhere. In fact, the opposite is true. I could start quoting verses, probably hit a dozen in just a few minutes here. There's a lot of verses beginning early in the Old Testament to not do witchcraft, not go into the occult, don't look at soothsayers, even into the New Testament. All of these things, these prohibitions are still there. Why? Because that is dealing with the occult, the demonic. There are demons. That's real. Satan is real. All of this is real. We're in a spiritual battle. All of that is real. So if you are talking to someone who is not currently alive, you are not talking to that person. I can guarantee you that. What you may be talking to is a darker force that is a liar, period. And I would very much encourage you not to do that. Okay, let's keep going. A couple more. That got kind of heavy. I apologize. But I mean, gosh, it's weird out there and we got to talk about it. This is a weirder story, but I came upon it and we just have to talk about it. This is in Australia, and so those that are in America are going to be like, what does this matter to me? And the reason it matters is Australia and Canada and England are some Western countries that are good test cases for what I believe the left wants to do. And I'm going to connect back to our previous story. One of the only reasons they don't do a lot of the things they want to do is because we are armed, and they know that we would be really frustrated if they forced us to do certain things. And I know that sounds pretty brutal, but it is just the reality of the situation. So what is happening in Australia? This doctor, Jareth Koch, was found guilty of professional misconduct, and here's the reason. So you say, doctor, professional misconduct. I mean, like, I watched some terrifying documentaries over the summer, and you probably have too, and doctors do all kinds of malpractice things, and they're terrible. Like, okay, that's fine. Is that what happened here? Let's see. This doctor is suspended from medical practice. Why? Because he posted things online. This is a real story. If you say things that the left disagrees with, that the authoritarian, agnostic, atheist, secular left does not like about Christianity, about God, about reality, about biology, they're going to do things to you. And this is an instance of what happened. So his beliefs were deemed too offensive. I'm going to list some of his beliefs, and you tell me which ones are the most terrible to you. 1, marriage is between a man and a woman. 2, children deserve a mom and a dad. 3, gender-affirming care, euphemism for medically and chemically and surgically altering minors. He said gender-affirming care harms minors. Number 4, lockdowns and mandates went too far. And some other things. So which one of those is just horribly terrible and completely wrong? Well, none. They're all real things. These are all obviously true. They're scripturally true. They're really true biologically. So this tribunal that has been trying to figure out what he did wrong didn't say he was medically incompetent, didn't say there were any patient complaints. In fact, he had 0 patient complaints in 15 years, 0 malpractice complaints in 15 years. But there were around 50 social media posts. Many of them were funny posts. Many of them were reposting memes, which some of you know I really appreciate. But you post these in Australia as a doctor, you might lose your license because you can't say true things anymore. And gosh, I know I keep saying these things over again, but when someone is forcing you to lie, something like a man can actually, physically, literally become a woman. When someone gets to that point where they have to make you do this, it becomes a battle of force. It becomes a battle of who has the bigger club. Like, this is just how it is, because the truth does not require force. It just doesn't. People know things are true. You can see things are true. You can prove things are true. That's just reality. Gravity is gravity. A man is a man. A woman is a woman. Period. That's just true. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to force anybody to believe it. Some people might not believe it, and some people are crazy. To force someone to believe a man can become a woman, or more controversial things like a man can marry a man. Like that, none of these things are true, but you can force somebody to believe it. And here's an instance of they had a licensing process, as many of you know, to become a doctor. And they said, well, since you're saying these things we don't like, we're going to take that away. We're going to take your livelihood away. We're going to force you to try to lie. So there are things like sharing memes, sharing posts about abortion and other things, sharing posts from other doctors. He wrote an article for Eternity News about biology and things. So the other thing is, these posts they weren't even directed at patients. They occurred outside the clinic. It wasn't in his business at all. But of course, this violated the professional standards. Medical Board of Australia addressed 85 social media posts and said that he now loses his license. This case is still potentially under appeal, but it will be years and years of all of this. And in the meantime, of course, he cannot practice medicine anymore, something which he was educated for. And apparently was pretty good at, because had no complaints and no malpractice. Now, during this time, he has to find other employment to support his family. Again, you're sitting there thinking, well, this is Australia, it could never happen here. If they could, they would. I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be a harbinger of doom. I'm just trying to say that the reality is those that want to force you to lie will find ways, and they continue to find more ways to do this. So just keep your eye out, and I want to raise awareness for things like this. Okay, let's keep, oh my. Sorry about that. We had a little, if you're just listening, nothing happened, probably. If you were watching, the camera went all crazy. And again, this is a one-person show. If you want to support, you want to go to churchpublic.com/support. You want to go to the substack.com/@churchpublic and support. Gosh, I'd appreciate it, because this is a one-man show, and sometimes buttons go crazy. All right. I think I have one or two more. Let's see as time allows here. Let's go to the opener. That is, a gay woman has now pretended to be Jesus Christ. Gosh, this is just the weirdest story. And so, speaking of memes, which this poor doctor got canceled for, and I probably will too, here's a wonderful meme for those that are just listening and not seeing. I'm just going to read it for you. I know that ruins the meme, but I'm going to do it. Here is the beginning, the left. It's important to respect everyone's religious beliefs. Heart. Also, the left. Let's have a gay woman play Jesus. But yeah, that's what we're talking about here. So this is Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical. It was recently performed in California, which of course is not surprising. And Cynthia Erivo played Jesus. Adam Lambert played Judas. If you don't know this musical has always been weird. It's always been a weird thing. It's from the perspective of Judas. Jesus is just another dude who struggles with a lot of things. So it's always been heretical. We'll talk more about that in a minute if I feel like it. But it's isn't it weird? Isn't it weird? And of course, this could never happen for anything else. And some people have pointed this out. But like, consider another religion that starts with M and ends with Muslim. Like, you definitely could not do a show about that and make that particular patriarch a gay woman. That, as we know, we saw in France with the Charlie Hebdo, like, people get very mad and there's blood in the streets if that kind of thing happens. And with Christians, we just get on podcasts and go, this is stupid. Please stop doing this ridiculousness. But, you know, that's all we can do, because I want to be loving. This is my loving response. Please stop doing this ridiculousness. You're ridiculous. And so, like, this is just where we are. And if you're just listening, you're not going to get to visually appreciate what's happening here. This is her with some crazy fingernails, and others have pointed out that there's a slight resemblance to another movie character that would be the vampire Nosferatu. I did not make this connection. I'm just saying other people have made this connection, and if you're just listening, you're missing the beauty of this image, I think. And I mean, gosh, here's the problem too. She is incredibly talented. One of the best voices maybe I've ever heard. Like, incredible in talent. But she's just like crazy pierced and crazy nails and shaved head for some reason. And just an interesting looking person, and a woman, and apparently some kind of not normal sexuality, and not in any way looking like Jesus. You know, the Babylon Bee posted another meme: performance of Jesus Christ Superstar interrupted after Gollum jumps on stage. Yeah, I shouldn't have shown that one. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. This playing this video will probably get me in trouble, but here's her as Jesus about to be crucified, and Adam, who looks like, gosh, who's that food guy that God, I can't remember his name. But you guys know the diners, drive-throughs, and dives food guy. Adam Lambert looks exactly like him in this, and I don't know what's going on with that. I wonder if that's on purpose. Anyway, whatever. So it's obviously just weird, and I could be frustrated with it. But as I said, this musical has always been blasphemous. Jesus is just another man. It's told from the perspective of Judas. Jesus is vain. He gets angry. He's overwhelmed. There was another clip that I decided not to play, but Jesus and Mary are like very close. Yeah, it's just weird. And in this version, Jesus is crucified, but he's never resurrected. So I mean, yeah, this musical has always been weird, and it hasn't been realistic, and it hasn't been biblical, and I mean, this came out in the 70s, so it's not like this musical is biblical in any way. So I mean, I can say all that, but at the same time, like, what? Why push the boundaries and make Jesus a small, bald, black, gay woman? Like, of all the things, and I have my own, like, The Chosen is nice. I have my own issues with The Chosen and the second commandment, and like, like, do you carve images of God, and is that blasphemous? And we can have that conversation. But the guy that's in it looks like an historical looking Jesus guy. I can say that for sure. And but this, a small black half naked gay woman, I guess, just doesn't in any way. So like, why would you do this? I know they'll say it's progressive and we're just expanding your horizons. Okay, fine. Why don't you make Martin Luther King white? Man, I'm gonna definitely get canceled for that one. But what are we doing here? Like, are we being historical, or are we just making things up at that point? Like that's my question. None of this makes any sense. And of course, because it's Jesus, we just need to be able to see this and call it the heresy. And that's really it. So, I think that's about all I have to say about this. I think it's obvious that this is just a weird Hollywood thing, doing weird Hollywood things. So I'm not really mad. I'm not even frustrated with it. It's just sad that people with God-given talent, and I can say that, God-given talent, waste it on anti-Christian and heretical things like this. That's a fair place to end. So that'll do it for me today. I'm Matt Odegaard. This is Church Public. I hope you keep the faith. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Hopefully this was helpful and not making you want to just throw your phone out the window. If you do still have your phone and you're still watching this, hit all the buttons, like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I want to help you learn how to live out your faith more and more as you follow after Jesus with your heart, mind, and soul, and strength. Love you. We'll see you next time.